Cruising used to be simple. For many of us, it was an easy and rewarding way to see the world, a trusted formula for a fantastic vacation. You picked a cruise line, and if they delivered on their promise, you stayed loyal for years, sometimes even for decades. This wasn't just a business transaction, it was a relationship. In return for your loyalty, you felt genuinely taken care of. You became part of a community, a familiar face to crew members who greeted you by name, and a veteran navigator of ships you knew like the back of your hand. It was a comfortable and reassuring arrangement built on mutual respect and understanding. This unspoken agreement was the bedrock of the cruising experience for a generation of travelers. You knew precisely what was included in your fare, meals in the main dining room, evening shows in the theater. You also knew what would cost extra, allowing you to budget accordingly without unwelcome surprises popping up on your final bill. Most importantly, you felt that the value you received for your hard-earned money made complete and total sense. The price tag, whether modest or premium, was justified by the quality of the service, the consistency of the food, and the overall feeling of being a valued guest rather than just another number on a spreadsheet. But as we look ahead toward 2026, it's clear that this unspoken agreement is changing, and in some cases, it feels like it's being broken entirely. The fundamental relationship between cruise lines and their most dedicated customers is showing signs of serious strain. This isn't about one bad cruise, a single disappointing meal, or an isolated service hiccup. Those things have always happened and are easily forgiven. Instead, what we're seeing is a much larger, more systemic shift, a pattern of decisions and changes that longtime cruisers are noticing across the entire industry, from the mega ships to the more intimate vessels. And after years of faithfulness, many of these experienced travelers are responding in the only way that feels appropriate when a long-term relationship sours. They are quietly packing their bags and walking away. They are sometimes not so quietly packing their bags and walking away. They are taking their vacation dollars, their decades of loyalty, and their future travel plans elsewhere. This isn't a rash decision born of anger, but a considered choice driven by a growing sense that the cruise lines they once loved have fundamentally changed, leaving them to wonder if their loyalty is still valued at all. Today, we are going to take a calm, authoritative look at 6 major cruise lines where this erosion of loyalty is happening the fastest. Our focus is on the specific reasons why experienced cruisers, people like you, who have sailed these lines for years, are now choosing to spend their money somewhere else. We'll be examining the data, analyzing passenger feedback, and connecting the dots to reveal the underlying trends driving this shift. This isn't about gossip or rumor. It's about understanding the tangible changes impacting the guest experience, from the dining room to the pool deck. The order of our list reflects the severity of the loyalty decline, 6 down to 1. We will start with the smallest, yet still significant drop and work our way to the cruise line with the steepest exodus. By structuring the analysis this way, we can see how small issues accumulate over time, eventually causing a major breakdown in trust between brand and customers. This isn't the end of cruising. The industry still grows. Millions of new passengers set sail each year. Instead, it's about the changing nature of loyalty, when core promises feel hollow to the people who built a brand's reputation. For mature travelers who value consistency, comfort, and a sense of recognition, these changes can be jarring, turning a beloved tradition into frustration. So, let's begin our journey. We'll explore the specific complaints, from declining food quality and overwhelmed crews, to confusing new loyalty programs and relentless upselling. We'll look at why the magic seems to be fading for some, and ask, does loyalty still matter? For the 6 cruise lines on our list, former fans answer yes, and that's why they're leaving. Kicking off our list at number 6 is Princess Cruises. For decades, Princess built its reputation on calm, elegance, and consistency, but longtime guests now feel that essence is fading. A frequent complaint is that older beloved ships are now dated and tired, while the newest megaships feel too large and anonymous. With a fleet split between aging classics and impersonal behemoths, the line's clear identity has become muddled. On board, food quality has become inconsistent, a major red flag for loyal guests. The crew, while still praised, seems stretched thin, making personal connections harder to find. Even the pioneering medallion system now draws complaints about reliability. This slow erosion of elegance and consistency is causing its most loyal fans to reconsider their allegiance. Coming in at number 5 on our list is MSC Cruises, a line that has, for a long time, been a polarizing force within the cruise industry. On one hand, MSC's ships are almost universally praised for their design. They are modern, glitzy, and visually stunning, often featuring dazzling staircases and spectacular European-inspired public spaces. When you step aboard an MSC ship, especially one of their newer vessels, the initial impression is one of glamour and sophistication. However, the onboard experience often tells a very different and far more frustrating story. While the hardware is beautiful, the software, the actual operation of the ship, frequently falls short, a feeling even reflected in a loyalty program where status can expire. A common thread running through countless reviews is the feeling of chaos. Guests consistently report excessively long lines for everything from guest services to buffet stations to elevators. This operational confusion creates a constant sense of friction, undermining the relaxing atmosphere the ship's design is supposed to foster. One of the key drivers behind this is MSC's aggressive strategy of filling third and fourth berths in cabins, often with attractive kids sail-free promotions. While this is great for the company's bottom line, it pushes ships well beyond comfortable occupancy, putting immense strain on public spaces. Lounges become impassable, pools are packed, and finding a quiet corner becomes an impossible task. This disconnect between appearance and reality is the central issue. They are lured in by the promise of a chic vacation, but what they often experience is a reality of logistical bottlenecks. This style over substance problem leaves many passengers feeling misled, wondering why a company that gets the aesthetics so right can get the fundamental logistics so wrong. Arriving at number 4 on our list is a true titan of the industry, Royal Caribbean. For years, this cruise line has built its brand on constant innovation and building the biggest, most feature-packed ships at sea. They didn't just sell cruises, they sold floating destinations. But recent feedback from their loyal fan base suggests that the very things that made them famous are now becoming sources of growing frustration. The first issue, much like with Princess, concerns the fleet's age disparity. While all eyes are on groundbreaking new ships, many of the older vessels are increasingly described as worn and neglected. Loyal cruisers are returning to find tired decor, maintenance issues, and a general lack of the wow factor, leaving them feeling like they've been relegated to a forgotten corner of the Royal Caribbean universe. The newer ships, however, face an entirely different issue: relentless, overwhelming crowding. These innovative megaships were designed to hold thousands, and Royal Caribbean has become exceptionally good at ensuring they sail at or even above 100% capacity. The result is an onboard experience that can feel less like a relaxing vacation and more like navigating a busy theme park. Lounges fill fast, lines grow long, crew members appear overwhelmed. While the brand ranks high in satisfaction overall, data shows this high-energy, crowded environment is resonating least with its most mature guests. For a growing number of longtime fans, the grand scale is no longer enough to compensate for the feeling of being just one person in a sea of thousands, where personal space is the ultimate luxury. The strain of full capacity is profoundly felt in the dining rooms. Complaints increasingly mention repetitive menus and food that tastes and feels mass-produced. Compounding this is the steady rise in extra charges and aggressive upselling. It seems that everywhere you turn, there is an opportunity to spend more money. Longtime guests feel the cruise fare now covers a more basic experience, pushing them to constantly open their wallets. This feeling of being nickel and dimed erodes trust. Royal Caribbean still excels in one key area: entertainment. The production shows, the high-diving spectaculars, and the ice skating performances remain some of the best at sea, but for a growing number of loyal fans, even that isn't enough. They argue that while the 45-minute show is fantastic, it doesn't make up for the other 23 hours spent dealing with crowds, mediocre food, and constant pressure to spend more. Ultimately, many departing loyalists feel they are paying more while getting less. The magic feels weaker. The innovation, once exciting, is now overshadowed by a business model that feels transactional. And for those who remember a more personal experience, the appeal is starting to wear thin. Section 3. Number 3. Norwegian Cruise Line, or NCL. If the loyalty decline at Royal Caribbean has been a slow burn, the situation at Norwegian has been noticeably sharper and more pronounced. NCL built its modern identity on the revolutionary concept of freestyle cruising, a promise of freedom, flexibility, and choice. It is this very freestyle promise that many longtime guests now feel is being systematically dismantled. The introduction of extra charges for additional main dining room entrees was a significant blow. Furthermore, new restrictions on their popular drink packages have made the value proposition less clear. The brand that once celebrated freedom now feels like it's putting up fences. Food quality has become a major point of contention, with reviews wildly inconsistent across the fleet. Much like other lines, NCL's older ships tend to pull down the overall satisfaction ratings, with passengers citing tired facilities and lackluster food. This decline is not just anecdotal. A survey from Comparably gave Norwegian a satisfaction score of just 58, with the lowest ratings coming from customers aged 66 and over. This demographic, a crucial pillar of the market, now feels that the brand has prioritized cost-cutting over the guest experience, leaving them to question their loyalty. One of NCL's historical strengths was its appeal to solo travelers, with its studio cabins making it the top choice for independent adventurers. However, even this loyal contingent now feels overlooked, citing pricing adjustments and a reduction in solo-focused activities. Technology has also been a recent pain point. The rollout of a new booking app in early 2025 was plagued with major technical problems, creating widespread frustration. When you step back and look at the cumulative effect, a clear narrative emerges. Many longtime guests now describe the brand as a cheaper, more restrictive version of what it once was. The spirit of generous, carefree cruising that defined the freestyle revolution feels like a distant memory. This is why Norwegian's decline in loyalty has been so sharp. It's not just one or two changes, it's the erosion of the brand's core identity. NCL sold its customers a dream of freedom and choice, but as that dream becomes diluted by upcharges, restrictions, and operational issues, its most devoted followers are voting with their feet. Reaching the number 2 spot on our list might be the biggest surprise for many viewers. We're talking about Disney Cruise Line. For decades, this brand was considered the absolute gold standard, a line that seemed almost untouchable, with fanatical repeat customers and top-tier satisfaction ratings. But that sterling perception is now facing its most significant challenge, as even the most devoted fans are starting to question the value of the magic. The most significant factor is price. Over the past several years, Disney's prices have climbed sharply, moving into a stratosphere that many families find unsustainable. Loyal guests are finding that the cost for a week-long cruise can easily rival that of a luxury land resort, or even a European vacation. This has put immense pressure on the experience to be extraordinary, and this is where cracks are showing. Complaints about crowding are becoming increasingly common. Long waits for character meet and greets and a general sense of congestion detract from the premium atmosphere Disney promised. Even dining, long a highlight, is now drawing mixed reviews. While the service remains exceptional, a growing number of guests are describing the food itself as merely good, not great. When the food quality is perceived as being on par with a mid-tier line, the entire value proposition begins to unravel. Disney Cruise Line still excels in its foundational strengths, particularly its service. The attentiveness, warmth, and ability to create special moments for children remains largely intact. But many guests are now leaving feeling dangerously close to simple satisfaction rather than outright enchantment. The sentiment is shifting from "it was magical" to "it was good." And when you're paying Disney prices, good simply isn't good enough for many loyal fans. Adding to the concern, troubling headlines have pierced the brand's bubble of safety. reports of serious crimes, particularly sexual assaults, have risen sharply in recent years. While crime can happen anywhere, this has tarnished Disney's reputation as the safest family vacation, causing some loyal families to pause and reconsider. The perceived gap between Disney and its competitors is shrinking, while the price gap is widening. Other lines now offer massive water parks and excellent kids clubs. Loyal fans aren't leaving because they had a bad time. They're leaving because they had a perfectly fine time that cost twice as much, leaving them feeling like customers rather than cherished guests. And now we arrive at number 1, the cruise line that has seen the steepest and most dramatic drop in loyalty, Carnival Cruise Line. For decades, Carnival was the undisputed king of fun, accessible cruising, building a massive, fiercely loyal following of repeat guests, proudly accumulating their VFP Club points. But recent changes, announced for 2026, have felt like a profound betrayal to these dedicated fans. The single biggest catalyst, the bombshell overhaul of the VIFP loyalty program. The legacy program, based on nights sailed, is being replaced by a new system based on onboard spending, and crucially, status will now expire after 2 years instead of being for life. Lifetime VIP card being shredded. A temporary card with an expiration date replaces it. For the tens of thousands of gold and platinum members working their way up the ladder, this news was devastating. They had invested years, and in many cases decades, with the explicit promise of reaching lifetime diamond status. This change signaled that past loyalty wasn't enough. Your future value is now measured only by how much you spend on board. That generated unprecedented anger. This loyalty debacle piled onto other complaints eroding Carnival's reputation: rising food quality complaints, smaller portions, and scaled-back entertainment. The core elements feel cheaper. Adding to the unease, there has been a noticeable increase in complaints regarding onboard behavior issues, disruptive passengers, and a general decline in decorum. This is backed by data, with one report noting that Carnival had the highest number of reported incidents among the major lines in early 2025. While the crew members themselves remain pillars of the experience, consistently praised for their hard work, they seem to be fighting a battle against a changing onboard culture and aging hardware. The combination of these factors has shattered the central pillar of the Carnival brand, its value proposition. The unspoken agreement was that Carnival offered a consistently fun vacation at a fantastic price. Now, for many loyal guests, that equation is flipped. They feel they are getting less entertainment, lower quality food, and a less valuable loyalty program. The anger over the VIFP program cannot be overstated because it represents the breaking of a promise. It invalidated the emotional investment that so many cruisers had made in the brand. These weren't just customers, they were advocates who wore their VIFP status as a badge of honor. By moving to a spend-based model, Carnival sent a clear message that it values high rollers over steadfast loyalists, leading many to take their business elsewhere. In the end, Carnival sits at the top of our list because its decline in loyalty is the most self-inflicted and the most personal. For these once loyal cruisers, the fun ships no longer feel like home. And so, they are sailing away, likely for good. After looking at the challenges facing these 6 lines, it might be tempting to think the golden age of cruising is over. But that isn't the story the evidence tells us. Cruising as a vacation choice isn't dead. In fact, the industry continues to see remarkable growth. What we are witnessing is not an exodus from cruising, but a fundamental shift in loyalty. Experienced cruisers are not giving up on the sea. They are simply becoming more intentional about where they spend their money, moving away from brands they feel have taken their loyalty for granted. So, where are these seasoned travelers going? Many are finding a new home with Holland America line, which is attracting calmer, older travelers who feel left behind by the mega-ship arms race. With its emphasis on live music, culinary arts, and destination-rich itineraries, it feels like a return to the classic cruising they first fell in love with. Another major beneficiary is Celebrity Cruises. It has successfully carved out a niche by offering sleek, modern design and a premium, adult-focused atmosphere without the extreme crowds. For former Royal Caribbean or NCL cruisers, Celebrity presents an appealing alternative, delivering a wow factor through its style and culinary execution rather than water slides. Then there's a brand that has completely upended the model, Virgin Voyages. While its adults-only vibe isn't for everyone, it is attracting cruisers fed up with relentless upselling. Virgin's all-in pricing is a breath of fresh air for those tired of being nickel and dimed, offering a refreshingly straightforward proposition that is proving very popular. So the real question isn't whether cruising is over. It's whether loyalty still matters. For decades, loyalty was a two-way street. You gave them your repeat business. In return, they gave you a consistent, valued experience. But for at least 6 major cruise lines, that unspoken agreement is showing serious signs of fracture as they shift toward a more transactional model. Loyalty still matters, perhaps more than ever, but its direction is changing. It is no longer blind allegiance to a single brand name. Instead, loyalty is becoming a prize to be won, shifting away from companies chipping away at their product and toward lines that preserve the pillars of a great vacation. Excellent service, consistent quality, a comfortable atmosphere, and a transparent sense of value. The era of automatic loyalty is over. The age of earned loyalty has begun, and your choices will ultimately determine which cruise lines learn this lesson and which ones get left behind at the pier. Now I want to turn the conversation over to you. Have you noticed these changes? Have you recently switched your allegiance? Let me know in the comments below. Your stories help everyone in this community. If you found this analysis helpful, we invite you to subscribe for more honest cruise insights. Until next time, happy and, smart sailing.